Hi there, I'm Danny Flexen. Welcome to the latest edition of SecondsOut ReFLEXions. We're here every Monday, 4:30 PM to discuss whatever we can during the boxing shutdown period. And I guess the biggest news of the week is the widely covered development that Eddie Hearn is planning to relaunch matchroom boxing events with no crowd, of course, given the current environment, in the matchroom HQ back garden, if you like. And all the newspapers, and this is a bit of a pet peeve, are calling it Eddie Hearn's hosting fights in his back garden. It's not his back garden, it's the back property area of the Matchroom headquarters. So technically it's his, in that he's the head of Matchroom, but it's not like, we're going to see Eddie taking a shower, not that I'd want to, or, having dinner with his family while the boxing's going on. Not that he'd do that anyway, I'm sure he could multitask. But you get the point. It's not his own back garden, which is just a bit silly, but papers love that sort of stuff, don't they? And it seems to make sense. There can't be a crowd anyway, so the venue doesn't have to be massive. It's still going to be on TV, so it adds a bit of scenery, a bit of a concept, an angle that people can talk about. And we have seen a ring there before. I've been there for public workouts that have taken place on the grounds of that property in Essex in the past. I've also been there for meetings and barbecues, but I don't think they lend themselves quite as well to live Sky Sports fight night slots, unfortunately. Watching us all stuff our faces. Sounds fun. We don't know yet which fights are going to be there, or which cards. Obviously, it's BBBFC rules at the moment. It's a maximum of 5 matches or contests per card. We don't know which journalists, or if any journalists, are going to be allowed and how that's going to work. I imagine if you only let journalists and officials in, social distancing wouldn't be too difficult. But the testing of everyone that's going to be there would suggest, and the cost incurred would suggest, that they'll want to limit numbers as much as possible, and it will only be essential personnel and media only. I don't know if SecondsOut comes under that environment. Under that criteria. I'd like to think it does, but I guess we'll wait and see, like everyone else. Yeah, I mean, it's going to cost a lot to facilitate testing for everyone involved, even without taking press and officials into account, just the boxers and the referees. And sorry, I said without officials, didn't I? Just the boxers and the promoter and the television crew, obviously, will be there to cover it. But it's a pretty good idea. It's somewhere that they could film. It depends if it's going to be live. But if it's going to be live, they could do kind of 1 a week, 2 a week, whatever they want to do. They could even film stuff and then broadcast it at a later date. I'm not suggesting they do like retakes if they don't like the result and stuff like that. I wouldn't suggest any form of corruption, but just generally it makes sense. They can control the environment, which is important. It's on home turf. It helps build the Matchroom and Sky brand as well. It's kind of like a home territory, if you like, in the same way that WWE NXT used to always be at Full Sail University and things like that. You have kind of a home territory for your brand. I think that's kind of nice as well. Definitely not Eddie Hearn's back garden, but a big space where we've seen a boxing ring before. And I think it will really lend itself. Obviously, there'll have to be provisions made for the English weather. Although, it's lovely and sunny at the moment. It's been hot for the past week or so. You can't guarantee anything more than a couple of weeks in advance, maybe not even that in this country, unfortunately. And, I think the weather's probably the least of our worries, given everything that's going on at the moment. But I think it does need to be taken into account. There'll need to be some form of covering or marquee or whatever it might be, just in case. But I think generally I don't see a lot wrong with the idea, and it's getting people interested again. We think apparently Hearn is aiming for mid-July for his first show. I'm not sure if that one will actually be in the Matchroom HQ or not. Probably will be. So we're not looking at too far away now. 2 months? Less than 2 months. So we can start just kind of buzzing about it. There might be press conferences for some of the fights that are taking place, unless the main ones are the ones that we've already had press conferences for. I think we've had about 3 or 4 from Matchroom now. But it's just, it gives us something to look forward to at long last. And I know boxing is very, very small in the wider perspective of people suffering from coronavirus, people losing their lives, tragically, of course. And pretty much every boxer I've interviewed has made a point of keeping focused on that bigger picture. But in times like this, when everything just seems to be doom and gloom, it's nice to have at least something to look forward to. And for football fans, that might be that the Bundesliga has returned and what that means for the Premier League coming back. But for boxing fans, and I hope most of the people watching this, if not all, are boxing fans, to know that there's shows within less than 2 months that we can actually watch, even if it's only on TV, I mean, I watch most of the shows on TV now anyway, because I don't work weekends. I do work, but I have my son at weekends, so I don't attend live events. So for me, just knowing that there's going to be a Friday or Saturday fight night in the offing sometime soon, even a Wednesday or Thursday fight night, I couldn't care less which day it is. I can't wait. So I'm quite excited about it. And I'm sure if you've seen my recent interview with Frank Warren as well, he's intending to come back with at least minimum to start with. He said 1 show per week on BT Sport. So that's really exciting too. You know, it's a bottleneck and it's not how we would have wanted to get there. But the idea of having live boxing, as long as they don't clash too much, which is important, but the idea of having live boxing 1 or 2 nights a week, every week for a couple of months, I've got no complaints about that whatsoever. And I'm not sure where Frank Warren's show is going to be held, if he's going to do a similar thing in that he'll have the same base and put all the shows there for the time being, or if he'll tour around and have different venues. I mean, obviously, I don't know how feasible it is to put a ring in the BT Sport studios in Stratford, but it's a massive complex, and some of the places where they've had press conferences, some of the rooms and the filming studios, I don't see why they couldn't fit a ring in there. It'd be very different from having it outdoors at the Matchroom HQ, but having it indoors with kind of the lights and the stuff that they could offer there, that'd be pretty cool, and the graphics and stuff. I think that might be a really good idea. I can't believe I haven't suggested that. I'm sure they've already thought of it, actually. So I'm not going to get on the blower to Frank anytime soon. Not because I don't have his number, I swear I do. But yeah, I'm not going to call him and suggest that, because he'll say, what do you think we are, idiots? Obviously, we've already considered it, and they'll either do it or there's a very good reason why they can't. We shall see. But finally, after everything that's gone on, a little chink, a little light at the end of the tunnel, and I can't be happier about that. Let me know what you think about these shows going ahead behind closed doors, particularly the concept of having them at Matchroom HQ, and also the bottleneck and the positive implications of that, in that we'll get more regular boxing, at least for a short period. Great to know your views. I'll respond to some of them, and I'll be back on Thursday for FLEXpectations, 4:30 PM, and the following week, ReFLEXions, Monday, same time, 4:30. Always a pleasure, and I'll see you all soon. Cheers.